Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whoever you are, whether you're listening or watching. My name is Joe Mias, and I am the co-creator and founder of a Chat About Football podcast. Unless you didn't get to watch the 15-minute fan time I did, I'm just going to do a bit of an introduction about the man that I've got here right now, which I'm really excited to have. This, in case you don't know, is Hometown Heroes, a series where we will talk about the best footballing names that have come out of Ilford and Redbridge, talk to them about their careers, talk to them at length about what they've done in their careers and how much the area has helped them to get to where they are. And with me, I have a special guest today. Again, if you haven't heard the intro before and haven't heard 15-minute fan time, go and have a quick listen to that because there's some great stuff in there. But if you want to get to the main bulk of the episode, I've got a good guest for you. I've got a man that's played a Premier League football for Tottenham Hotspur. He's played over 60 times for Tottenham Hotspur. He's played over 200 times for Millwall. He's won the Division 2 title of Millwall in 2000, 2001, if I'm correct. If I'm wrong, correct me. But he's played for Millwall over 200 times. He's played for Wickham. He's won the Toulon tournament in 1994 with England under 21 with some stellar names alongside him as well. But without further ado, I've got the man, the myth, the legend with me. I've got Stuart Nethercott. How you doing, Stu? You all right?
How you doing? You okay? You all right, mate?
How's the intro?
That was good, mate. That was good.
Thank you.
That Toulon tournament really does get missed out a lot because that was a heck of a side and was a heck of a win as well over there. And they haven't done it much, won it over there for a long, long time. So it does get dragged out now and again about that team because it was a heck of a side. So, yeah, really good.
Very true. That's why I had to mention that. I looked at the side, I looked at the members in there. I think, you know what, you've done a good job to win that. I just thought I'd do the quick reminders about the socials. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. We're on Twitter and Instagram at ACAF_podcast. But anyway, let's get into the good stuff. We've done the intro about you as a football fan and player in the younger years. Now let's talk about the area, Ilford. So I can't believe that you come from Ilford, but just to specify, you born and bred in Ilford, but whereabouts did you grow up? Like where in Ilford? I'm just very curious.
Well, I was a Chapel Heath boy, so I was around. I was Chapel Heath boy.
Yeah.
Obviously around the corner from West Ham's training ground. Schooled in. I went to school in Chapel Heath. Primary school, and then secondary school. I went to Cannon Palmer in Ilford.
Cannon Palmer is literally up the road from me, believe it or not. Literally next to Semi King Station, all of that.
Yeah, that's it. So I know it's changed now. The school's changed and everything now, but I do go past it on the train now and again when I go up to London and stuff like that. But fantastic place. School, really enjoyed it there. I wasn't great at school, but I give everything I could with the schooling. But I think in the back of my mind, I always wanted to be a footballer, and sort of the PE staff sort of pushed me into that sort of way to go, really. And wasn't too good at the maths and the other stuff, but thoroughly enjoyed it. I enjoyed school. I didn't miss a day really. I wasn't one of them that was bunk off or anything like that. I was really, I probably didn't understand it, but I just give my best, and I think that's all I've done throughout my schooling time. I knew, as I said, in the back of my mind that the football was going to hopefully take over, but my mum was always drilling into me, if it doesn't make it as a football, you've got to have something to fall back on. So I had little things I wanted to do. As a child, I wanted to be a policeman as well. That was something I wanted to go down that route if it didn't go for me with the football. But, as I said, really, really good Catholic upbringing, really strong. My mother was the Catholic, my dad wasn't, but it was really a good upbringing. I really, really enjoyed being around that area as well. And obviously, as we got older, used to go out a lot in the Ilford area. Really good. Really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I have to ask this as well, right? And I think I'm going to ask every single guest this question, right? Again, you come from Ilford. You've again born and raised, born in Chadwell Heath, sort of raised in Chadwell Heath. Go to Cannon Palmer. You go to school there, right?
Yeah.
I'm curious. Like, I know that you then went to Arsenal and then went to Tottenham, but for me, how and where did you go in Ilford to practice your football skills? Like, what did you do as a sort of football man to sort of get to the level where you did able to sort of play for those sort of clubs in the area, if that makes any sense?
Yeah, I was a young lad, and 2 doors away from me, a guy, his boy was playing for a football club called Redbridge United.
Yeah.
A very popular team in that area. And they used to train at Seven Kings Park. So that was the park.
Yeah.
Used to go there on a Saturday morning, and used to go there, and then manager took me there, played games at Seven Kings Park. Well, you know, back in them days, it was 11 aside. It was like 11 young kids, or 22 kids just hurling after this ball.
Yeah.
So I thought, yeah, okay, this is great. You know, I loved it. Really enjoyed it, and I had a couple of seasons there at Redbridge. And then obviously the Fulham situation come about. You know, I was scoring goals for Redbridge, and then scouts were coming to watch. You know, that sort of age. I was probably about 9 or 10. So I was a bit of a late starter. So went on, scouts started to come. I went to Fulham. Great guys run it there. A fella called Brian Nichols, who I'm still in touch with now. Lovely fella. Really good coach in his time. And as I said, you know, me and myself and Ray Parler went there on a Tuesday nights, and it was. We had first team players of Fulham were coaching you as well, so it's nice to see them. And so we spent a lot of time there. And then Ray was playing for a side in Romford called Park.
Yeah, and
they were based at the back of West Ham's training ground on St Edward's School. On that A12, it's probably
on the high road, yeah.
Yeah, it's probably called something else now, that school, but really good facilities. And sometimes we used to play games. So now I've moved to Caparcro, which are in Romford. So playing games in Romford, you know, still playing against me old sides in Ilford and stuff like that. So we got spotted again by Arsenal. So being what we were, Fulham in them days was like an old 4th division side. So myself and Ray got spotted by this scout called Steve Rowley.
Yeah, he does the Essex area for Arsenal. He's done here. It was him, Tony Adams, Ray Parler. I think he does a lot of the Essex boys, I think.
Yeah, he's left now. He was with Wenger. You know, he's gone through the whole manager. He had George Graham, Wenger, and he's always stayed his course of time being the chief scout.
Yeah.
So Steve got us over to Arsenal. Really, you know, and it was really it was good to be going over there. But I was still playing for Caparcro. We sometimes played our Sunday games at Gants Hill called the Drive.
Yeah, I know what that is. Yeah.
Hill. But it's been knocked down now. But they used to have a super pitch there, and it was called the PLA.
Yeah.
So that they used to have a pitch there, and it was brilliant. So we found pitch was a little bit waterlogged. We used to go and play there, and it was like a carpet, so we could play. And you know, it was nice to have the Arsenal scouts coming, and we were playing on a nice pitch and winning games. So me and Ray ended up signing for Arsenal, and really, really good to go there. So, but Arsenal had a centre in South Tottenham. So after every, so that was every Monday. So every Monday after the school at Cannon Palmer, I used to jump on the train. I used to go back to Chadwell Heath, where I lived, and then jump on a bus to Barking.
Yeah.
So I used to get a train from Barking all the way to South Tottenham Station. And I was doing that every Monday night. It was like I was leaving school, getting to South Tottenham, 6 o'clock at night. I was only about 10 or 11 years old, jumping on a train. Used to meet Ray at Barking. You wouldn't think about that now. You know what I mean? You wouldn't think if I had an 11-year-old kid, there's no way I'll go with him. Right, off we go, son. You're going to go to South Tottenham and go and train tonight. You wouldn't do it. So, but that's how it was back then. You know, you was happy to just get on a train. This train went up and back all the time, Barking to South Tottenham to Barking, and it was easy. And then all of a sudden, like, as you got older, you went when the school holidays arrived. You used to go to London Coney to train, and then play games during the holidays. And then, you know, then the training centres used to change, and then you had to go to Highbury. If you were chosen out of that South Tottenham centre, then you went off to Highbury and trained on a Thursday night. So now you're doing the journey again. So now you're going Chadwell Heath to Liverpool Street to wherever. It was just mad. And then I had school the next day, and I don't know how I've done it really, but
you knew half the 2FL by the age of like 13, innit? Just look at all the maps and all that stuff like that. You just had it all.
My dad at the time was a bus driver. He used to drive the 86 bus. I don't know if you remember the 86 bus.
I still take it.
Yeah, still going. He rode the 66 bus up the Eastern
Still take that one. Yeah.
You know, he was part of that. So he used to do shift work. He used to do earlys, nights, lates, and things like that. So yeah, really, really. So that was his job. So so he couldn't really get me to training. So that's what me and Ray done. We just used to jump on trains, get to training, and the rest is like what it was. So
that's amazing. I have to ask two questions about your time at Arsenal, right? Two questions. First one, would you say, like, for example, you, even though you were at Arsenal and you had that sort of structure of being at Arsenal, would you say that, for example, you played a lot of games in and around us, and let's say not even at Arsenal, but let's say like maybe at school level or Park Row, or just sort of playing football outside the academy, like on the streets or on the cage or wherever you could, right? Help to sort of develop you as well as the Arsenal thing, or was it like strictly Arsenal sessions that got you to where you were, if that makes any sense?
Yeah, you know, I always think the guy that we had at Park Row, he was an ex-Dagenham United player. George Brooks, his name was, and he was a great guy, Irish guy, really nice guy. He had boys in the team that were twins, both left-footed. One was left back, one was left wing, and they were good players. They didn't really go on, but you know, you always needed someone in your ear to keep you going and keep you know, because they knew we were going off to training at Arsenal, and if he ever thought that we was getting a little bit above our station or getting a little bit big for our boots, he'd stab down a bit. And I think we were happy that sort of happened. So he was brilliant. He was a really good manager, mentor, and he just really took us on to the next level. He let us go. He went, off you go. Now it's your time, because obviously our games were starting to play on Saturdays or Sundays for Arsenal then. So we had to say goodbye to that team, and off we went and done our sort of stuff together. But it was a really good upbringing. I say now, again, I talk about that 91 side, but I think my upbringing in Ilford, Chadwell Heath toughened me up a little bit and toughened me up in that aspect of travelling on my own on trains and things like that. And you know, I love the modern day footballer, but I do think they're a little bit modern coddled now. I think they're a little bit weak, if I say that. You know, I can't imagine an academy player at Arsenal. You know, I know a fella that was actually a minibus driver, and he was running people around in Essex to take them to Cobham, to Chelsea's training ground. So, wow. You know, it's different. It's different how it's all turned around, and it's probably for the better. It has to be for the better. But I just think, where I grew up and the upbringing I had, I think it sort of made the person I am now and probably made the player I was back then.
Yeah. So to keep that sort of bit very, very short, Fampo, to sum it up, do you basically see it as it taught you? I'm not necessarily saying you saw it as a sacrifice, because I can imagine you just knew that you're traveling to play football, so the journey was worthwhile. But do you reckon it taught you that discipline that maybe sort of stood you in good stead for being a pro, to know, I had to catch that bus or that train at that time to make and to give that responsibility at a young age?
Oh yeah, definitely. I hate being late. I hate, I have to be on time for everything I do. I always get there 20 minutes early if I need to be. And I stress that now to my players who I've got at the moment. Stress that, why want to rush around and, prepare right. It sets you up for the game. It sets you up for everything. And I think that was, moving on, the Spurs day, when I was an apprentice at Spurs, you were told to be at the club at 9 o'clock. If you wasn't at the club at 9 o'clock, that bus was leaving. That bus was leaving for the training ground. And I remember many a time there was lads that were running up Tottenham High Roads, minute past 9, and we were opening the fire exit door for them to get through, just to get them on the bus.
Yeah.
If you missed that bus, you was knackered. You weren't getting to training. So so it was that it did set you up. It really does set you up. And hopefully I'm like that. I'm very, very time wise. I like to be early. I like to plan stuff and instead of rushing around, I like the rushing around bit. Not so.
And let's talk about the elephant in the room here, right? You've mentioned Ray Parlour's name a few times, and he's gone on to have a fairly decent career, hasn't he? Or was it just the 3 league titles of Arsenal, just before FA Cups and the League Cup and the Cup Winners' Cup and all the other medals? So when you were playing with Ray, did you see that that glimmer of talent, that sort of thought that you kind of felt, he'd go on to have a good career? And did you see it from young, basically? I think that's the question to ask.
He played as a kid exactly how he played as a pro. He was energy, and he did not. He was one of the fittest lads I've known as well. He could run and run and run and run and run. In youth football, he was good. But then I think when Arsene Wenger come to the club, I think he become an excellent player, excellent footballer.
Did it surprise you I'm not trying to to dampen his ability, but do you reckon it was like you could sort of see like there was a base ability there? Because you remember, I know you played him in Toulon, for example, but is that okay? So when you looked at him with Arsene Wenger, for him in the FA Cup final in '98 and him playing at San Siro, did you look at him thinking, bloody hell, Ray, like you've done well for yourself?
It's absolutely that. And, you saw when you're playing, obviously we couldn't see him play every week, television-wise, it wasn't as great as what it is now. So you just catching glimpse of him and then you play against him or stuff like that. But that invincible side, they were quality. And for him to be part of that, that's some achievement, to not lose a game in that season, very special. He'll say himself, again, it was a special team and they got on a roll and, the manager was excellent for them. And Ray probably needed a manager like that to take him on to the next level. I think with George, he could get away with it, and it was probably that sort of era is all about pace, stamina, and aggression, and he had abundance of that. And I think when Arsene come in, I think he took him, not just him, I think him and the rest of them to another level. And Spurs at the time, we couldn't get near them. We was nowhere near them at that time, and they went on and done what you said. It's hard to hear what they done, and we it just didn't happen for us. I think where we were changing managers virtually every season, they stuck with us, and so they should do. George took them to a place where Arsenal took them up to the next level, and it was a special. They were a special team, and I'm like, it's tough saying that. Yeah.
From one end of North London to the other, from the red half to the white half, like you left Arsenal. Well, I don't think you left Arsenal, but you and Arsenal parted ways at 15. I think that's one way of putting it. Like when you went to Tottenham, were you still confident that you can make it as a pro at Tottenham, or was it one of those knockbacks where you didn't take football for granted? So when you worked at Tottenham, it gave you maybe a bit of an edge to sort of help you to get into the first team. I've been knocked back at Arsenal. I'm not trying to make sure that doesn't happen again in my career.
Yeah, exactly. I remember we go back to Steve Rowley. He met me outside Cannon Palmer School. I thought I was nailed on. I was doing really well, and I thought to myself, I think I've got this. I was telling my mates, I think I've got this. I think they're going to offer me something. And then what I didn't know, that there was two guys up north that they were speaking to, not seen them. One was at the Lillishall School, and one was Scott Marshall, or funny enough, who I played with at Wycombe Wanderers towards the end of my career.
Yeah.
So he was one. He come down from Scotland, and and Steve's got in the car, and he said, "Stuart, it's bad news, and we're going to let you go. We've got two boys that we're going to take on as an apprentice." So that was shattering. He took me home to my parents, explained it to my parents, and then the phone started ringing. And one of them phone calls was John Moncur Senior, from Tottenham. Said to me, I think it was the Tuesday I got released from Arsenal. He said to me, "Do you want to play a trial game against Charlton?" I said, "Oh, where's that going to be?" He said, "On the White Hart Lane pitch." So I thought, "Oh, lovely."
Wow.
Can't turn that down. Even if it don't go well, then we go on and we're going to play some football on a decent pitch. So went really well. Got cramped with about 10 minutes to go. But then I was in the physio room. Ray Clements was hovering around, and there was other guys hovering around. And then they pulled me aside, my parents aside, and they said, "We'd like to offer you a 2-year apprentice." In them days, they were going, "We'll give you a year's pro, we'll give you this, we'll give you that." And I said, "To be honest, just give me the 2-year apprenticeship, and I want to prove something to people and obviously the club up the road, Arsenal." And that's what it was, and I think that's what it was. I think you had something to prove. I went there as an 17-year-old. I played at Highbury in a reserve game. They had Andy Cole, they had Andy Linegan, they had big players.
Yeah.
And we won there. And I've come out with a gashed eye. And Ray Clements said to me, "Tell you something, Stu, you ain't going to be far off the first team in about a year or two's time." So it was like 17. I thought to myself, that's nice coming from him. And it did spur me on. And I grew up. After that game that I played at Arsenal, it was just an unbelievable game, and it was just just a great day to win at Arsenal and then sort of go on after that, really.
One thing I'm curious about before we got into your debut, for example, for Tottenham and your career afterwards, just curious, did you ever feel like, was there any nerves? Like, it sounds like you took it in your stride in the sense of, I know you got released for Arsenal, and again, I know that we gloss over a lot of details, so it must have sort of stung to some extent. But to play a game for Tottenham at that age, thinking, you know what, I've got to step up now. Was it not? Is it one of those things where you relished it, or was it one of the ones that you still felt like really, really nervous? And it's only when you got into the game where you start to sort of find your rhythm, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I think so. I think I was always minded if I got an early header in, if I got an early tackle in, then it sort of it went well. Then it boosts you. It really does. But the good thing Tottenham done, they saw there was something in me, and what they'd done, they said, right, we're gonna send you off to Maidstone United, who were based in Kent, and they were bottom of the fourth division. You know, you couldn't go any lower. You could not go any lower if in the league. Old fourth division, bottom. Old pros there. I had to take my own kit. I used to come home, wash my own kit, and it was just like back and forth. Where I was getting sport with Spurs, you'd have a fresh kit out every day. I'm going to Maidstone United. No washing machines anywhere near the place, and they didn't have their own grounds.
Wow!
So they used to play at Dartford FC. So I've gone to this club, and I'm going to Carlisle. I'm going to Horror Hole. I'm going to all these places up north. But it's toughened me up. It's really, they were great lads, really good lads, and there was some ex-pros in there. And, half time comes around, they're having a smoke in the toilets and things like that, and I'm like, wow, this is what it's like down here. So I'd done 3 months there, and it was really good. I was still training at Spurs as well. So, but I was playing for them, and it was great experience. It was better than playing reserve team football. So, come back from Maidstone, all of a sudden, like Barry Fry's coming for me to go to Barnet. So I'm like, I just want to come back and train with Spurs now. So I've gone, just have a month there. Just have a month there. And that didn't go too well with Barry. He was a bit of a wheeler dealer sort of guy. I played about 3 games, and we lost to Blackpool 3-0, and I didn't play again. So I rang Spurs up and I said, I've been subbed the last couple of games. They saw it anyway, and they said, we're going to take you out of there now. So they took me back there, and then obviously we all got back, and then the debut sort of come after that sort of run. But I had to do the rubbish first before I got to where I got to, because that is something I stress now to a young player. If you're stuck in the reserve team, under 23s team, get yourself out on loan somewhere. Go and play some league football and really get some experience there, because it does you the world of good, honestly.
Definitely can't agree more. Especially, I can see how it must have benefited you as a young defender playing at the top level. You can't go in there green. Do you know what I mean? You've got to have a few knocks on you, a few bumps. You've got to be ready for it. Yeah. So to go down to Maidstone and be thrown into the deep end and then come out of it quite well. It's really. I take my hat off to you being brave enough to be able to do it, even at that young age. You probably want to play football, but
they saw the path. They saw the path that I could become. And it did. It helped me a heck of a lot, and that was, Then you go back to your club thinking, I don't want to go back down to that level. I don't want to go back down there. I want to stay where I am. And it pushes you really. It really pushes you, and it's great to sort of have that. I always appreciate that, but to come back and to be able to play first team football was really good.
Yeah. Now onto the big day. Stamford Bridge, 20th of May, 93. You come on for your you come on for your day? What you start for? How was that day? Like, break it down to me, because again, you lived it, so you can explain it to me much better than I can. So please, go ahead. The floor is yours.
Stamford Bridge, another, not looking like the stadium it is now. It was like a dog track round it.
Yeah, the car park and all that.
Yeah, all car parks and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, got to the ground, didn't think anything of it. I just thought, fine. I counted everyone. I thought, because them days you had 13 players. You had two subs and a goalkeeper. So I'm thinking to myself, there's about 16 players here. Gary Mabbott didn't train on Friday, so he's out. And I'm looking around who can play defence. So it come to the team selection, and usually a manager will pull you aside and go, Stu, you're going to be starting today. Great, stuff like that. But he just said the team. So he went Dean Austin, Neil Ruddock, Stuart Nethercott. I went, what? Just in Edinburgh. And I'm like, wow, this is a bit, so now I'm thinking, but it was nice because there was about 4 of us that made our debut that day. Kevin Watson made his debut. We had a lad called Danny Hill, Darren Caskey, and a guy called Andy Turner. So the squad's full of, good young kids. And we couldn't really go anywhere in the league. We were quite happy where we was. So, so Terry, he threw us all in. So now I'm looking around, I'm thinking, Tony Cascarino, massive, 6'4". John Spencer, little guy. He'll flick it on and he'll run onto him and stuff like that. So Neil Ruddock's, so he's with me, he's talking me through the game. And then all of a sudden we get a free kick. So I'm thinking to myself, go on, go up, we'll go up. So I flick one on. And it's hit the outside of the post. I'm like, oh, God, that would have been 1-0. And I'm like scoring on my debut, running off to all them supporters over there. So we ended up drawing the game 1-1. But they were an experienced side. Dennis Wise was playing. They had a really, really good side. So for us to come off there 1-1, I got booked as well. And it was just eventful. It was so eventful. And then the back page was of the News of the World or whatever paper it was all like tails, tots and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it was great. It was great. And that was your first sort of time of sort of, you're getting the plaudits, the press are there, and you get a couple of man of the match in certain papers. You're looking at the paper, what mark you're getting. Oh, there's a 7 there, 8 there. You think, wow, this is lovely. So it was great, really, really enjoyed it, and to be around the boys that to make their debut as well, to have 6 of that team, that youngsters come through and make their debuts on that day. And I think we had 3 games to go. We went to Anfield, which wasn't as nice. I was sub there. But no, we come back the week after. We played Wimbledon. So
at their place?
No, at our place. So this is my home debut now. So I'm making a home debut. So, but now I'm playing right back.
Yeah.
So I've done all right centre back. Why are you putting me at right back? So someone's come back. He said, "How's your friendship playing right back?" So I think, fine. Fine. And then you go in the tunnel, you've got Wimbledon there, and you think you've got Vinnie Jones there, you've got John Fashanu there, they're going to target me. And they did, to be fair.
Were they screaming in the tunnel from Wimbledon? Like,
they went for me. Yeah, they go, oh, he's the young boy, here he is, and rubbish like that. And I was playing against a guy called Andy Clark. He was a left winger. And he was quick, very quick. But I played him really well. And I've come back in the dressing. We've won 2-1. So we drew the first one away to Chelsea, won the home game, and just come back and then knock on the door. Oh, Stuart, you're man of the match. So I'm like, wow. So I'm going up to the sponsors lounge, picking up Crater Holston or whatever it was back in them days, and just other stuff. And I just thought, wow, this is a good start. So, and then the week after we went to Liverpool, and I was sub. I think everyone was coming back, and I was sub, and then someone come off. Then I went to left back. We come on sub, went left back. I thought, oh God, I can't even kick it with my left foot. More like playing left back. So, and Mark Walters was playing, guy that played for Villa and Rangers. And Terry Venables said to me, "What's the step over?" He does a step over. So he goes that way, but he takes it that way. So I go, oh, great. So all of a sudden, I'm thinking, when's his step over coming? And he done it. I went that way, and he went that way, and he put a cross in and he scored. We ended up losing about 4-1. But then the season finished, and then we had all the aggro with Sugar and Venables, and then it just exploded from there.
I was going to say that because you've come through with Venables at that point, right? And you're getting a run of games. Again, it's the end of the season, so it's not a nailed-on thing that you'll get into the team of the season afterwards, right? But how did you see Venables leaving and that whole dispute with Sugar? How did you see it affecting your place in the years to come? Because you're breaking through and you think you're close, and I can imagine so. But do you reckon it kind of sort of unsettled you? Because it would have been the last time that Tottenham changed manager, because you've had our dealers, you have our dealers, and you have Jerry Francis in as well. Like, did that unsettle you when you were trying to break into the team?
Yeah, I think it was tough because you've impressed one manager and now you've got to go and impress the next one. And Ozzy was a nice guy, and I think that was Ozzy's problem. He was a nice guy. He played with some of the players that was there before, or no, he'd known some of the players that was there before. So it was tough. It was a tough start. Pre-season was really tough, and then he sort of Jurgen come in, which was a heck of a signing. You know, we're starting the season on -12 in the league at the FA Cup. So, and then all of a sudden, like we get Jurgen, and then all of a sudden, like 2 Romanians come in, Dimitrescu, Popescu come in, and we're like, wow, we're looking strong here. But he hadn't bought. We bought Kevin Scott in as a centre back, and I thought I can beat him. You know, I can get in the side here. So I played a few games. Under Ozzy. We sort of went a little bit gung ho. Me and Sol played at the back. We had Mickey Hazard in front of us, and then we had like the attacking options of Sheringham, Barnby, Anderton, Dimitrescu, and Jurgen and Teddy. And it was just a real class act going forward, but defensively, we had no cover.
Yeah.
So we went to Filbert. Yeah, we went to Filbert Street. We went to Leicester, but now the young guy, Joachim, he was playing for Leicester and had an old centre forward called Marshall, and we just got found out that day. You know, really got found out. I think we lost 4-1, and it just spiraled, and you could see that the Aussies' reign was starting to go. You know, and I think we went to Notts County and got beat and won the cups, and then that was it for Ozzy.
I got told it was a donut formation you played, where you'd have a lot of the top, a lot of the bottom, but nothing in the middle. I've read a few things about that.
But he was probably ahead of his time. He was probably ahead of his time because he's playing a formation that, you know, a lot of teams are probably playing now. It was 4 at the back, 1 in front. It was 4-1, 4-1. And that's what it was. But your 4 going that way did not want to come that way. So it was crazy. It was crazy.
Wow.
But I really enjoyed it. His training we trained a maximum an hour. It was all sharp, 5-a-sides, all touch work. And it was really enjoyable. But the next manager comes in and he sees we're not fit enough. So then he comes and does all these running like Jerry Francis comes in.
Yeah.
He was massive on fitness, massive on defensive work. And he come in and he put his groundwork into it, and we got some great results through that. So yeah, so good cup run. We had a decent cup run as well. But yeah, he was totally different to what Ozzy was. Totally different.
It's funny because these managers are coming at a really big point of your development, for example, right? And they're doing what they're doing right now in terms of helping you out and bringing you on as a player. It's funny we mentioned that because now you're going on to sort of even international sort of stage at this point in your career. And I mean that in terms of the Toulon tournament on the 21 level. In case anyone doesn't know, the Toulon tournament, it's the under 21 tournament that England play. I think it's played every year. I think it's still played every so often now, right? And you went in, like, did you feel at this point, like, being amongst the players the company that you're with in terms of the players, do you reckon you're coming in there better than ever, or do you reckon there's still a bit of like you're working through the kinks of the players? So even when you're with those players, you think, wow, I'm going with Sol Campbell. He plays for my team, as well as Ray Parlour, Robbie Fowler, Trevor Sinclair, but they're still playing at a high level than I am. But or is it we're on the same level? I can mix it these lot.
Yeah, you can mix it. I wasn't a regular as much as what they are. I was always on the bench or something like that. So I was going into that tournament probably hadn't played that season as many games as what what the guys that were in there. So I did have a little thing in the back of my mind, thinking that, you know, should I be here? Should I not be here? But Terry Venables was obviously manager of the England side, and I think he probably pushed it that I went. But you know, I was a starter for that team, so he did. It wasn't as if I was going there to keep the bench warm. There, you know, we had good players. You know, David Unsworth was a decent centre half at that time. Yeah, so it was a strong squad. Chris Park-Williams, what a player he was. Trevor Sinclair, as you said, Robbie Fowler, Jamie Redknapp, Ray Parler, Dean Gordon. He was from Palace. You know, he was playing. He wasn't even in the Prem, so he was playing. He was the old Division 1 then. But you know, it was a great side. But we went out there, and it was no pressure on us. It was like it wasn't like what it was back. It would be now. You know, we went out there and we were going in our time. We was off. Like all the players had gone off on holiday, and we sort of had this tournament to do. And I think you know, Ray Wilkins was in charge of the side, and he just goes, "Lads, just go out here and enjoy yourself." And we you know, we admit it. We probably had a few beers one night and played the next day and stuff like that. But that was probably the mentality that got us through to go and win it. You know, we played the hosts, I think, in the final, beat them in the final, and we had a good night after that. You know, it was just it was a good tournament, really good tournament. It was well run, and as I said, I don't think they won it for a while. So I don't know if they won it a few years ago, but that team of us comes up quite a lot in the last time someone won Toulon. As I said, I don't know if they've won it since, but really good win. That was a fantastic win, and you know, it took us on to when we got back to go to our clubs and say, look, this is what happened. So that was good. That was really good.
A big talented crop of players, and I've got two quick questions about that bunch. Right, first of all, you believe it or not, did you know that there's another guy that played alongside you in that team that actually came from Ilford as well? Do you know who it is?
Sol Campbell?
No. Ilford, do you know Bruce Dyer?
Yes.
Yeah, he came from Ilford as well, believe it or not.
Yeah, he was in it. Yeah, he was, wasn't he? He was another one. He wasn't in the top league. He was at Palace, you know, but he was good. Yeah, he was a nice guy. Really like Bruce. Bruce.
Did you talk about the fact you were from like in and around the same area, or you met each other? Was it one of the ones where you just like you didn't?
Yeah, probably did. Yeah, probably did, mate. Yeah, probably did. Yeah, he was. Come across him a few times, to be fair. Yeah, really tough player.
I find it mental to feel like two players could be in that stage.
Yeah, that's good, mate. That's really good, mate.
Mental,
yeah, it's good.
And I think the second thing I've got to ask, I just got to double check, right? With Robbie Fowler, I know, for example, we all knew, like from a young age, everyone knew how good he was. Is it true, because you can confirm this, because I reckon you were in the setup, right? Is it true that once you did a training drill, was it a shooting drill, was it, right? And it came to Robbie's turn. I think the drill was like cross it into the box and shoot, or whatever it was. It came to Robbie's turn, right? Every shot went in, left, right, whatever it was. And was it so good? Again, you can confirm this. Was he shooting that good that once the coaches actually stopped the session to give him a standing ovation? Is that actually true?
He was good, mate. He was quality, and what he was left foot, right foot, and he didn't really have a lot of backlift, but really good lad, and he was clinical. He was clinical, and you know, he didn't do much in the game. You know, he weren't one of them ones that pressed you or anything like that. He was sort of just he was a box player. You know, he played that 6-yard line, you know, in the imaginary box, and players used to pull the ball back to him in the corner, pull the ball back again in the corner, and he was just clinical. He was a top striker. It was a shame, really, because I think his career just sort of wilted away, and he was better than that. The injuries started to come. He went to City, and he just didn't really get to that stage. I think Michael Owen was another one as well. He didn't really end his career at a high note. They sort of dwindled out and picked up a lot of injuries towards the end of their careers. But no, he was a top striker, and yeah, he was a really good lad as well. Really good lad.